Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lists, a little series I'm doing to cover a bunch of broad subjects that interest me. List stands for Life is Short, because I always think, even in the grand scheme of things, if life is short, there's still plenty of time to talk about a bunch of dumb or interesting topics. For today's topics, we're going to be covering opinions, and how is it that you properly can take in other people's opinions? Opinions boil down to the very part of who we are as a person. If you lay out who you are, you have a bunch of opinions attached to you that just make you exactly who you are. And it is so interesting, and I find really fun to talk with other people who have just different type of opinions about stuff that are pretty small, and you can just hear about how their life has changed throughout their life and what kind of opinions they've gotten through living their life. We all will live a completely different life because we all just grow up in completely different environments. And with that comes differing opinions from how we grew up. It's like you don't just learn a language because you just thought, oh yeah, I'm a 1-year-old, I should learn a language. No, you learn it from the environment you're around. And opinions are a similar thing like that, where you slowly just start to intake them without realizing, and then you start to develop them all by yourself. But with how things are nowadays, opinions can be something of a controversy, you can say, in differing opinions, and how if you even go on the internet a lot of the times, when people have different opinions, it can cause quite a stray in anything becoming civil. The issue with it is when you have something that is your opinion and you believe is true, if anybody comes with a different opinion that is against that, it feels completely wrong, and for a valid reason if you just think about how humans work. That is what you think is correct, so if someone says it's not correct, you would find them definitively wrong, so you would want to correct them. So, if you were to have a room of someone with one opinion and another with another opinion, that's where you get into the fights that can often happen because of those differing opinions. Now, having different opinions doesn't mean you have to fight. Quite frankly, it can be a truly enlightening experience that I know has actually made me super interested in hearing people with specifically opinions that I might not agree with and are just super different. With how society is, having different opinions and properly talking about them is something that I feel like has surprisingly gone away, where when you hear a different opinion, the first idea is to fight it. I know for me, it's exactly that feeling as well. There are just some opinions that I know I have that just seem completely wrong that people have, but so many people have them. I'm not going to get into politics or anything because that's just not going to be here on this channel, but that's a common example to have when you have beliefs and someone just says those beliefs are wrong. But what I find is if you are able to learn how to have opinions of yourself and be a competent person to believe in your opinions and want to stand by them, but being open to hearing other people's opinions, that is something truly enlightening that I realized and I thought is the perfect way to have some really good conversations that otherwise would never have happened. If you take right now two people with two differing opinions, you're not going to get much besides an argument. But if you're able to have those two people be self-aware enough where you just both want to talk to each other like human beings, and even though you know you don't agree on it, you can still just try and talk through it and try and just see where the other person comes from. That thing about how it is when you grow up where you might just have gotten these opinions is sometimes opinions can change and sometimes opinions can't change, and that's what it really boils down to. If you're able to have some healthy conversations where you have two competent people in a room talking about their own opinions, you might be able to change someone's opinion fully and you'll be able to have a great time and you might be able to find common ground. But with that being said, I still find it that an opinion is someone's core idea of what they believe in. And sometimes that's just not going to change, and you can't expect it to change just because you're talking with them. I know I've had that thought process of opinions are just opinions and you can just go up and talk to somebody and you might be able to get through to them. And while yes, some opinions can be disproven pretty fast or after a period of time of talking with someone, some opinions are just going to stay by a person And you really have to accept that. And depending how you're accepting that, if you don't want to talk to that person anymore or something like that, completely fine. That is just how it is. We are all going to have different opinions. But if you are able to have that idea of, since opinions are a core part of someone's self and it's not going to change, but you still go out of your way to talk to them, it can get this really enlightening experience where you might not necessarily get mad at this person because of opinions, but you can just see where they're coming from and exactly what their thought process is. And then if the other person has that same exact thought process, you're able to get these two people to have a conversation that can be truly enlightening, when otherwise, in just how society works, that conversation would never happen. This isn't something that can usually just happen because exactly how I said is when you have different opinions that can sometimes be so drastic, you can't really find any good in them. But what I have at least thought of is maybe sometimes you need to just move away the opinions from remembering that they're just a person in the end of the day. I know I'm not following this advice truly at all, because for me, there's still just stuff that happens in opinions that are just going to make me biased. But I liked the idea that I've been able to form about just being able to have two people talk to each other with different opinions and still being able to have some good light out of it. And necessarily, that doesn't have to be some sort of dream in my head in a scenario. It can happen if people just realize exactly where, at the end of the day, we're just all humans. And at the core, we all gotta eat, we all gotta drink, we all just have to do these basic stuffs. And there's just a bunch of these opinions that have shaped us into who we are. But that doesn't change that we're all human. So if you go up to someone with such a different opinion, they're just like you, but they maybe had a different life that led them on this path, and they just found peace in the opinion they have. And if you can accept that, but still recognize that they're human, you might just be able to talk to them genuinely. Like, you can maybe recognize that someone has a different opinion than you, but that doesn't mean that everything about them instantly goes to nothing. You can just try and change the subject, maybe, and you could talk to them just like a human being. And once you do that, you can just be like, that was a really good conversation. And you don't have to get into all the logistics of all the opinions and stuff. You can just have a genuine conversation. At the end of the day, what I'm really trying to say here is just genuine conversations can sometimes be a rare occurrence nowadays, where sometimes you just have to take away that humans are humans and we are all humans, and we just need to take a break and sometimes just talk about the small things to connect and forget about the opinions and trying to change and sway opinions, and just talk genuinely and have some laughs and have some fun and have a good time, when in this life right now it can be pretty stressful. Anyways, that's all I have here today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.